more of a moderate conservative. And if you look at some of the decisions that that Kavanaugh wrote on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, some of his brethren were even more far right, and so I think Megan agrees with me.
Well,
I think it's
do you think he'll overturn Roe v. Wade?
No, and I think the politics of this are really interesting. First, I would like to say that I agree with Sunny that I'm fascinated that he chose the swampiest swamp creature from the Bush administration, because I thought just out of loyalty alone, he probably wouldn't want anyone that had worked for Bush, and I have friends that worked alongside him. The politics of this, watch for the moderate Republicans, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and red state Democrats like Heidi Heitkamp, Joe Donnelly, and Joe Manchin, because these are the people both sides are going to try and switch to not vote for them. Heidi Heitkamp, Donnelly,
they're going to
make them not vote, because they're going to try and make them switch apart from party lines. And when you have people like Heidi Heitkamp and Joe Manchin who are up for re-election right now in blood red states that went hard for Trump, it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to vote for him like they all did with Gorsuch. I would say for people like you, Joy, who are probably freaking out that Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned and all these things, it is not Judge Jeanine Pirro, which I at one point in time thought was actually a possibility of becoming a Supreme Court justice. So you should be worried. For you, it could have been much worse.
Well, he got Bike TV just acquired a version of Judge Jeanine.
No,
she's just out there.
He was very impressive. If you watched his speech last night, I was listening for certain things, but like everything from his mother's record in teaching and then putting herself through law school, his relationship with his girls, I might be just drinking Kool-Aid, I don't know, but I sat there, I was like, this guy seems so amazing.
So did Gorsuch.
Well, he also talked about the importance of diversity, how his the clerks he's hired have been women, many women. And I didn't know if I was just hearing what I wanted to hear, but I really was impressed. But as my husband, who's a lawyer, said, Supreme Court justices are some of the best people, the nominees even.
Well, this is what I try to say all the time. In the Supreme Court, you don't always get what you want the way you want it. And so I think if people are concerned about Roe v. Wade, you need to start talking locally to the people in your state. If you're concerned about it, because the bottom line is we know that if a woman wants an abortion, she will find a way to get one. That's just the way it is, and that's why all of this. Well, that's why all of this came about in the first place. Let's remember that first of all.
But it's not just that; it's also gay rights. It's the ACA.
Well, y'all were talking about abortion rights, and so that's where I came from. But I believe that if he does what most Supreme Court judges should do, with the exception of Anton Scalia, in my opinion, and he votes what is correct for the country and not voting his particular religion or his particular beliefs, then I'm willing to listen and accept it. That's what I think is closer
too. He said, I will honor precedent.
Well, he did that when he was a D.C. Circuit judge, though. Being on the Supreme Court is definitely different because you are interpreting the law, right? So that's very different. But I do tend to agree with you, Whoopi, on that in terms of what the states will do. I agree with Jeff Toobin, my friend, who basically said, listen, we're going to see at least 20 or 22 states challenge abortion. And we're going to see, I think, those challenges, maybe they'll outlaw abortion, maybe they'll limit abortion, and then we're going to see those challenges go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, no question, has swung to the right. It's much more conservative. But if you believe in the judicial system, as I do, if you believe in the law, as I do, and if you believe in the Constitution and precedent, I do think that you can't sort of yell fire at this point.
No, but we believe in balance of power and checks and balances, and we haven't got that in any of the three branches of government right now, and it's going to be even worse when this guy comes.
But this implication, I think, from people on the left, like last night, Shannon Bream, who's a host on Fox News, wasn't comfortable doing her broadcast outside with all the protesters, and there were people with signs with blank spaces saying, we hate blank, just waiting to fill in whoever it is. And I think the left does themselves a disservice when you're not even looking at the person presented in front of you, and you've already made the decision. That's not happening on this show, but I'm just saying there are people outside doing it. But
the left is taking a page from Mitch McConnell's book.
But what I want to say is that the idea, and you've done this before, they're like, this is like a stolen experience. This is what elections have consequences. And yes, Republicans have 3 branches of power. Now we're getting 2 more seats in the Supreme Court. But it's why voting is so important. But the idea that we're living in like some, totalitarian fascist country where this was just appointed by a dictator, it's just a lie. And I think we have to be intellectually honest.